Nikole Hannah-Jones is shocked to learn that George Washington Carver attended Simpson College.
Today we're featuring Jay Oosterhuis and his plans after graduation.
And today we're going to see who is watching the Super Bowl on campus and who they think will win.
To open a doubleheader, Simpson's women's basketball team took on Luther College.
And today we'll be looking at the men's Simpson basketball game, Saturday, January 31st against Luther College.
It was an honor to have this year's recipient, Nikole Hannah-Jones, on campus.
Now it's time to hand it over to Spencer Krantz for this week's fun feature.
Welcome back to SCTV. I'm Kennedy Moore.
And I'm Rob Howes.
This past week, there was the annual Carver Medal ceremony, and this year's recipient was Nikole Hannah-Jones.
Reporter Jay Romelus went and covered this year's event, ceremony, and panel.
This Thursday in the Smith Chapel at Simpson College announced that they would be awarding Nikole Hannah-Jones to receive the George Washington Carver Medal. Nikole Hannah-Jones is a journalist, an activist, and a person who cares about civil rights activism. She was also greeted with a warm welcome with a large crowd in attendance that day. Nikole Hannah-Jones was on stage with three other panelists while Ali Martinez was speaking to them about social injustices and things to know as a journalist. Nikole Hannah-Jones was shocked to learn that George Washington Carver attended Simpson College.
Spoke to how powerful it is for people to have examples and to be part of the narrative of the communities or the states or the country that they live in.
With this information, she learned more about George Washington Carver and learned more about Simpson College itself. One of the biggest topics during the panel was talking about Minneapolis and ICE. Nikole Hannah-Jones was not fearful to talk about this conversation in front of most people. She mentioned that the fact was that Minneapolis' situation currently reminds her of 2020 with George Floyd. So to discuss this topic, we have Courtney Lewis, a student here at Simpson, talking about the issue and talking about the panel.
I think that our nation is finally waking up and seeing that something that affects the minority can affect the majority. I think that the examples and the signs have always been there, but I think now they're becoming such an issue to which it can't be ignored. Other names that have been lost to time, but not lost to Black people. I think that now people are starting to finally see that it's everyone's fight and not just the sole responsibility of people of color. Now that it's happening to someone who is not a person of color, they're starting to understand that it's now an everyone problem. And it's not like the examples throughout history haven't been there. We have a plethora of examples that we can use when we're talking about injustices and inequality. I just think that now is a pivotal time for all of us to move forward and recognize that this is a fight that we all have to fight.
For SCTV, my name is Jay Romelus.
It was an honor to have this year's recipient, Nikole Hannah-Jones, on campus. Now to Lainie Burkhart with this week's student feature.
Hi, this is Lainie Burkhart with SCTV. Today we are featuring Jared Oosterhuis and his plans for after graduation and a little bit about his photography.
My name is Jared Oosterhuis. I'm a senior. I'm studying environmental science.
How do you feel about graduating soon?
It's kind of bittersweet. I'm really excited because the prospects of life are amazing, but it's also daunting. I don't want to leave my friends, and I love my classes and I love my professors, and the world is big. Right after graduation, I'm actually going to go to Iceland with one of my friends and do a bunch of photography and hiking there. So that'll be for a couple weeks. And then I'm going to start a job as an environmental monitoring technician with the Iowa DNR. And we'll be going around the state collecting soil and water samples for state data sets for the summer and into October. It's just a short-term seasonal position, but I'll get experience that would set me up to work for an engineering firm as an environmental scientist or someone who goes and monitors water or soil resources or any kind of forestry type things for industrial use or development and sustainability. I'm really excited for that because I think it ties together the world and humanity and development really well.
And here's a little bit about Jared's photography and why it is so important to him.
So I got my first camera from my parents when I was 10, and it's just a little point and shoot camera. And then ever since then, I've kept taking pictures and upgraded my equipment and got more and more into it as opportunities presented themselves. And I've just really developed a love for landscape and nature photography, and also architecture and sometimes portraits. Some of the best photos are just a unique perspective of a common thing. So being able to view life in the same way, maybe there's a circumstance that's really difficult and we just need to view it in a different perspective, in a different light, or through a different lens, and then it makes more sense, or it's more bearable, or it's more understandable.
Jared sells some of his photos at Crimson Anchor and other local places. Go get a cup of coffee and support Jared. This has been Lainie Burkhart with SCTV.
Always keep looking for ways to get involved on campus like Jared. Now it's time to hand it over to Spencer Krantz for this week's fun feature, asking students around Simpson what they think about this week's big game.
Hello, this is Spencer Krantz with SCTV, and today we're going to see who is watching the Super Bowl on campus and who they think will win.
Hi, my name's Jared. I think the Seahawks are going to cook them.
Hi, I'm Brett Snyder, and I think the Seahawks are going to win the Super Bowl.
Hi, my name's Katie, and I think Bad Bunny is going to win the Super Bowl.
My name's Abby, and I know this probably won't happen, but I want Josh Allen to win the Super Bowl.
My name's Saitel, and I'm going to be realistic here and think that the Seahawks are going to win.
Go football!
I'm Max Myers. I'm the loan coordinator here at Simpson College, and Seahawks all the way, for sure.
My name is Aiden Jones.
My name is Ethan Drake.
And Seattle is winning the Super Bowl.
I think Seattle is also winning the Super Bowl.
My name is Memphis Dunstan, and I think the Seahawks are going to win the Super Bowl.
Okay, my name is Joanne Martin, and I think that the Seahawks will win the Super Bowl.
My name's Ashlyn, and I think the Seahawks are going to win the Super Bowl.
My name's Gabe Bruns, and I think both teams are going to have fun.
This was Spencer Krantz with SCTV. I hope you enjoyed. Stay warm.
So Rob, what's your Super Bowl prediction?
Well, my Steelers are out of it, so I think I'm going to have to go against most people in the video and say the New England Patriots are going to win. What do you think?
You know, I think that's a good answer, but I'm just excited to watch the halftime show, so
Yeah,
that's
fair enough.
Yeah.
Speaking of sports, the Storm men's and women's basketball team were both at home this past weekend. Let's take a look.
To open a doubleheader, Simpson's women's basketball team took on Luther College. Drama, suspense, fouls, scoring, and crowd participation were all apparent when the Simpson Storm women's basketball team took on American River's conference rival, the Luther Norse. Before tip-off, the Norse took the lead with an equipment foul that led to a free throw. They continued to grow that deficit in the first half. As the second half started, the lead widened. But when the pressure was on, Maddox DeVault and Kiara McCormick did what they do best, score points, taking the Storm from down 50-35 to up 59-56. Despite the Storm's comeback efforts and DeVault's 23 points, they were unable to overtake the Norse and fell 85-76. Simpson will be back at Cowles Fieldhouse February 4th against Nebraska Wesleyan. With SCTV, I'm Elijah Davis.
This is Jackson Urbon with SCTV, and today we'll be looking at the men's Simpson basketball game Saturday, January 31st against Luther College. Simpson came into this game 5-4 in conference play, while Luther came in at 1-9. However, Luther has been playing teams tough all season. Luther played a clean game against the Storm with only 3 turnovers and shot 48% from the field. This game was an exciting one, as there were 20 points scored in the first 3 minutes of play. Halfway through the first half, Simpson led 21-15, which was their largest lead of the night. Luther's leading scorer was Charlie Wunderlich with 22 points. This game was back and forth through the first half, with 83 total points being scored in the first half. The Storm were competing and playing clean, but simply were not able to go into the half with a lead, trailing by 5, 44-39. Now into the second half, Luther was able to come out and extend their lead to 13. The Storm fought and were able to get the lead back down to single digits. However, they never had enough momentum to have a chance at getting the lead. The Storm ultimately came up short in this one, losing 86-79. Simpson's leading scorer was Cam Henderson with 26 points on the night. He was 8 for 13 on field goals while being 3 for 5 from 3. He stacked 4 rebounds on top of that. Henderson has been a dominant player for the Storm all season. Upcoming for the men's Simpson basketball team is their matchup against Nebraska Wesleyan, Wednesday, February 4th. With SCTV, this is Jackson Urbon.
It was a tough weekend for Storm basketball, but both the men's and women's team remain in the top half of the conference.
That's all the time we have for you this week, but tune in next week to learn more about this year's housing lottery process.
I'm Kennedy Moore.
And I'm Rob Howes.
Roll Storm.